girl grabbed me and sobbed, "Mommy, why did you leave me?" I'd never seen her before in my life. I was in a grocery store when it happened. A little girl with huge brown eyes grabbed my hand and wouldn't let go. I tried to pull my hand back, but she held on tight. "Sweetie, I'm not your mom. I think you're confused. You are my mommy. You look just like mommy." A man came running down the aisle, and when he saw me, his face went through 6 different emotions in 2 seconds. "What the hell are you doing here?" "I'm sorry. Do I know you?" "Don't play games with me, Jessica. You disappeared for 3 years, and now you're just standing in a grocery store like nothing happened." "I'm not Jessica. I'm her twin sister." "Jessica doesn't have a sister." "She does. We're identical twins. We just haven't spoken in 5 years." I pulled up a photo on my phone of Jessica and me at our father's funeral 5 years ago. 2 identical faces standing on opposite sides of the casket. He stared at the photo and his face crumpled. "Oh my god. She never told me she had a twin. We had a falling out. She borrowed money and never paid it back, and we both said things we couldn't take back. You know how she was." "Yeah, I know exactly how she was." The bitterness in his voice surprised me. "What happened between you two?" "She left 3 years ago. Just walked out one night and never came back. No note, no call, no explanation." "That doesn't sound like Jessica." "Really? Because it sounds exactly like Jessica to me. She was selfish and impulsive, and she never thought about anyone but herself. She wasn't always like that." "No? Then tell me about the sister you knew." "Because the woman I married picked fights with me every single day. She had postpartum depression, and instead of getting help, she blamed me for everything wrong in her life. She told me I trapped her. She told me she wished she'd never had a baby. And then one night she just drove off and never came home. She said she wished she'd never had a baby." Those were her exact words. 2 days before she disappeared, the little girl was still holding my hand. "She looks just like mommy." "Why does she look like mommy?" He knelt down and held his daughter. "This is your Aunt Rachel, baby. Mommy's sister." "Where's mommy?" "I don't know, sweetheart. I've been asking that question for 3 years." He looked back up at me. "The police found her car abandoned at a rest stop 50 miles away with her purse and phone still inside. They investigated but said she probably left voluntarily because we'd been having problems. Her own family assumed she finally snapped and ran away from her life. Nobody looked very hard because everyone figured she'd done what she always did and burned another bridge. But you filed a missing persons report? For all the good it did. The detective told me adults are allowed to leave their families if they want to." I thought about my sister, the wild one who moved across the country and borrowed money and never paid it back. I had spent years assuming the worst about her. "I want to help you find her." "Why? You haven't talked to her in 5 years." "Because she's my sister, and because that little girl deserves to know what happened to her mother." I hired a private investigator and pushed the police to reopen the case. It took 6 months, but we finally found security footage from that rest stop that had never been reviewed. The detective called me into the station to watch it. "I have to warn you," he said. "This is difficult to see." The footage showed Jessica getting out of her car to check her tire. It showed a man approaching her from behind. It showed him grabbing her and forcing her into his vehicle at knife point while she fought and screamed and tried to get away. I couldn't breathe. "She didn't leave." "No, ma'am, she didn't leave. She was taken. Someone took her and nobody looked for her because we all thought she just ran away." The case is being reopened as a homicide investigation. "Homicide? You found her?" 3 days ago, 200 miles from that rest stop. She'd been there the whole time. I called her husband from the parking lot sobbing so hard I could barely speak. "They found her. She didn't leave you. She didn't leave your daughter. A man grabbed her at that rest stop and killed her, and she's been waiting for someone to find her for 3 years. He was silent for a long time. She didn't leave. No, she didn't leave. She fought. I saw the tape. She fought so hard to get away. Oh my god, I've been so angry at her. I told our daughter her mother abandoned us. I've been telling her that for 3 years. You didn't know. I should have known. I should have known she would never leave our baby." I sat with my niece at the funeral and held her hand. "Your mommy loved you so much. She never would have left you on purpose. Someone took her away from you. Are you going to leave too?" "No, baby. I'm never going to leave you. I moved to be closer to them." My niece calls me Auntie Mommy because she says I look like her mother in heaven.